we are about to get annoying. Because this week's Dynamite did indeed start with the number one contender, Hangman Adam Page, who now has a moustache, taking on the number one contender, Swerve Strickland, the number one contender, to find out who was going to be king number one contender. Well, I just want to point out that these two have amazing chemistry. It's that kind of relationship where you could start a generational feud. I'm not saying that it's happened right now, but all the tools are there. If I was a science teacher, I would be putting them into this experiment. What? Also, hello, my friends, and in case you haven't been checking out ups and downs this week, that's right, I am in a secret location. More will be revealed very, very soon, but I am keeping up to date with all of the wrestling, even though the news never stops, and I want to cry. We take the finger of power, we give the good bits an up, and the bad bits are down. This Cowboy Swerve feud also absolutely cracks me up too, especially now, because we have done the unthinkable. Because one of my wildest dreams did I ever think we were going to get a double turn, especially because a couple of months ago, Swerve Strickland was breaking into people's houses and basically threatening their children. This is why sports entertainment is so damn fun. If all the things are there, you can make the maths equal correct. That don't make any sense. And yes, true, admittedly, the fact that they did lock up to start here, given that they're having a literal blood feud, didn't make much sense. It was 2 + 2 = potato, but eventually they were rolling to the outside, they were flying over barricade, and they were just giving each other some. And at one point, the Cowboy was doing a ground and pound on Swerve. What did these fans do? They booed him. I was like, Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore. Strickland then bit Hangman's thumb. I was like, oh, thank goodness for that, because we can finally bring back the Simon Miller's Bite Bonanza counter. That's kind of pathetic, to be honest with you. We're in February, and it's only up to 2. So fair play, I was wrong. Swerve then went to the midsection to try and slow Adam down when Page tried to go for the moonsault, but Strickland got out of the way of that, and he hit this flatliner, and it's just oh so effortless. Makes me feel happy. Page then one-upped him like Mario because he got out of the JML driver and gave him a Liger Bomb instead for a 1-2-ooh. When he went for the buckshot, people started to boo, and when Swerve decided to do that move on his own, everybody cheered. I was freaking out. Strickland also then got the stump for an incredible 1-2-ooh, and this is what I'm talking about when I keep going on and on and on about Match Jeopardy. I don't mean the game show. I mean I had no idea who was going to win here, and it took me on a damn emotional roller coaster. Well, they wanted to go nuts and hit a pile driver onto Hangman Adam Page, onto Barricade, and I was begging him not to do this. And while it did get stopped, it was because Page hit him with a DDT. And even the commentators were like, what the hell are they doing? You gotta go watch this match. The slugfest then began as the tables were brought into play. Although this is when the table was like, I don't have to play your game, because Page got rolled onto one and it instantly broke. Shouldn't laugh, but it is funny, whoops. We then set up another one, but Swerve just went and hit this amazing 450 when all of a sudden we did start the teasing, because Justin Roberts was like, oh, by the way, there's only 5 minutes remaining. You don't talk like that. This really got to Page, though, who hit another box shot lariat, and I genuinely thought this was it, but just as the referee was going to count 3, and that rhymes, so you must know it's true, Swerve got his foot on the ropes, and this place went nuts. This is when we got properly into it, too, because Hangman hit a deadeye on the outside, and if you can believe it, and I still can't, he rolled back into the ring, and he said to the ref, well, I think you should count that guy out. I was like, that's not a very babyface thing to do. What is happening? It was so damn good, though, because Prince Nana decided, well, I may as well start dancing to rise Swerve Strickland from the ashes, which did work, which is when Page absolutely nailed the Prince. I mean, this guy's lost it. He basically distracted himself, though, so Strickland was able to get the stomp, but this time when he landed, he hurt the ankle, and as if Hangman was playing a damn video game, he saw this leg flashing red, and he jumped on it like it was free pizza. It totally failed because they both went crashing through the table. When Swerve decided I want a final stomp, Hangman missed that and said, nah, I'm gonna hit the lariat. When Strickland decided, no way, man, I'm gonna get the JML driver, which he did do, everybody thought it was done, and just as the ref once again was going to strike 3, the counter got to 0, and this was ruled a draw. Now, I want to give a round of applause to the commentators too, because I think it was Excalibur who said, look, I understand you think Swerve Strickland was going to win, but there was 1 second remaining, maybe Hangman was going to kick out. That ruled. It then totally peaked too, because of course we went traditional wrestling here, and Swerve was like, oh, we must go 5 more minutes. When we went totally out of left field, because Hangman went, no, I'm not going to do that. I tell you, I was cheering. And this is because the way the Cowboy sees it, Swerve had to beat him to become the real number 1 contender. So now he's got diddly squat when Tony Schiavone stood up and said, well, actually, boys, I've just talked to Tony Khan. And at AEW Revolution, we are now getting the 3-way. And I'm sure somewhere Samoa Joe was like, damn, my odds just went down. Allin threw a fit after this as well, as did Samoa Joe, who was being interviewed by Rennie Paquette. He doesn't think this is fair at all. But honestly, if you are just looking for some hell good pro wrestling, don't know what hell good means, this is what you have to sit down and watch today. Obviously, it went over 30 minutes, but it's such a thrill ride to the point I may go and watch it again. Because I am a massive nerd, I am a massive geek. Well done to everybody involved. Let's get it up. It was then back to world title sorting too. It was sort of time to do the same with the Women's World Championship. Why not? Donna Bradso was out to do commentary as well because it was Toni Storm taking on Red Velvet. I do admit, as much as I like Red Velvet, she's great, her journey is crazy because she lost to Deonna Purrazzo and then she faced Queen Aminata on Collision. She won that, so now she's facing Toni Storm, and as we were told, if she'd win this one, she would also get the winner of Toni Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo. Now, it doesn't matter because she did lose. That's a little bit nuts. Fair play to her, though, because she understood her opportunity, so she came roaring out the gates here. When she made the mistake that all wrestlers make, she hit the D-pad, and she did a taunt. So Toni Storm, my word, she gave her a crazy sky high. We also made sure to show Mariah May looking on saying, oh my gosh, she is my hero. When Red decided to go back to her usual combo, she hit the leg lariat, she hit the bulldog, and she hit the double knees. Still didn't work. He then charged Toni, but Storm got out of the way, meaning Velvet hit Tina the turnbuckle, which when Storm was like, alright, she gave her the sweet cheek music and the DDT. Still only a 1-2 ooh. Now there was a really smart reason for all of this though, because of course Deonna was watching on from the announcing table. So Toni Storm was like, well, I've seen you've been doing a lot of submissions recently. So she locked in the ankle lock. Red Velvet's like, man, I really don't want to lose my foot. She tapped out. Now after this, she just wouldn't let go, so Purrazzo, being a good babyface, got in the ring. This is when Toni Storm and Deonna faced off, and the Timeless One kind of smelled her and gave her a couple of kisses as Deonna was kind of swatting her away. It's the best thing I've ever seen. And eventually Luther got in there. He was like, I do believe we need to calm this down, but the match is on. Now I really do love the fact that we're only in February. We have a bunch of matches for AEW Revolution on, and we have built this one so damn well. I mean, I still don't think Toni Storm is gonna lose, especially because she got a mega pop when she walked out here. But I like the story, I like the past, and I think we'll have a damn good fight. Give it an up. Let's also make sure we keep pushing Red Velvet though, because she's got all the tools. We went to the back, and Renee Paquette was interviewing the best friends, and all you need to know is that Chucky T was being looked at by a doctor, and also, come Collision, it is Orange Cassidy taking on Ishii. That's like, once again, we have entered the Phantom Zone. It all finished when they did this really weird handshake, because everything with Orange has to be wonderfully awkward. I just want to see this match. And I've told you before, Cassidy is like a chameleon. He can adapt to anybody's style. Put this one in your diary. When Dynamite just continued to light things up, I mean, my word. It was Ed Cicero, Mascara Dorada, and Volador Jr., also known as the CMLL guys. I know I butchered all of their names, I'm a terrible person. Taking on the Blackpool Combat Club. Once again, this just lit up my world. And yes, look, for all those who are melting down because they don't know these masked guys, just go and Google them. Why can't you do that? We're living in 2024. If you made this argument like 1997, I totally understand. But now, it is your hands. You can be like, man, AEW, you should have done a better job, even though I think I've done a fine job, but you can still go and get the information. Go get a real problem. Bryan Danielson and Ed Cicero also just continued on their fight from Collision like it never ended. When Claudio Castagnoli tagged in there, he was going after Dorada. Now, even though he was twice the size, Dorada still did amazing head scissors. It was so smooth I watched it twice. He had to finish the puzzle, so Volador and John Moxley then got in there when, of course, we got to the dives. That's when I was like, oh, thank goodness for that. I didn't think they were coming. The whole thing then just broke down, and it was wonderful when all of a sudden Claudio had Volador Jr., and he was spinning him around in the big swing, when John Moxley was just stomping around hitting people. This led to the Dorada hot tag, though, and he did a double arm drag. Once again, I was trying to work out the equations. How did he do it? We then got another Hurricane Rana, which may have been even better than the other one, a shooting star praise, and yet even more topes, when Ed Cicero did this hammerlock that blew my mind, and we got a 450. This is when I thought about retiring from life. I'm never going to be able to do anything as good as they do. Mox and Castagnoli were then running defense, which is where Dorada just did this absolutely beautiful code red, when Danielson was back and he hit the running knee. Ed Cicero made sure he stopped that down when Claudio was here too and he was doing all the chops. This is when I had to lie down. Too much was happening here for my brain. Hilariously, it all came down to shenanigans, which I actually totally understand, because I think Claudio Castagnoli was like, I just need to end this. So he pushed Ed Cicero right into the referee. When he turned around, he whacked him right in the balls before he hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, surprise roll-up, 1-2. Now, I absolutely laughed at this, because what a way to win, when, of course, the rest of the CMLL guys got in there, and out came Matt Menard and Angelo Parker and Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal, meaning we had this massive face-off. I was like, are we going to go down to Mexico and do like this 12-way? Because if we do, I am not going to be able to handle it. I could barely handle this. But in terms of the 3 matches we got on Dynamite, it was just the best variety show ever. Giving it up. Poor Chuck Taylor was then wiped out by the Undisputed Kingdom, so he was having a terrible evening when All Elite Wrestling decided to try and break the internet. For it was time for Tony Khan's big announcement, and yes, can you believe it? All of this hype, and they couldn't even spell Boston correctly. They said Boston. I mean, how embarrassing, unless they meant to do it. That is the deal though, because come March they are heading back to Boston. And why would you want to big up a big event in Boston unless you had something planned? In case I'm not being sarcastic enough here, it certainly does sound like Mercedes Moné is about to debut in AEW. And don't walk into my house, this isn't my house, but don't walk into this rented house and tell me that Mercedes Moné is not a big deal and this isn't totally going to smash it. Of course it is. This is an amazing get, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. She is a super duper megastar. It didn't hold the momentum either, because it was then Takeshita versus Chris Jericho as the Don Callis feud did continue. Just going to tell you this rule too. It all comes down to the fact that Takeshita does need a big push. I mean, don't forget in 2023, he beat Kenny Omega twice, and now I think we're all back on the same page, because my word, he murked Chris Jericho. I mean, the amount of times he just smashed him and Jericho's head went ding off the floor was absolutely horrible. And this Takeshita line that he does, it's like death in an arm. He also brainbusted Jericho on the outside, and that's when I became a concerned dad. And even then, he had Powerhouse Hobbs and Don Callis running distraction. It's like, well, I'm sorry, Chris Jericho, you're totally screwed. Now, sometimes friends, sometimes not friends, Sammy Guevara agreed with this, so he was out there, and he got a chair, he smacked Powerhouse Hobbs, who kind of no-sold it, which is when Sammy gave him a cutter, and then took this damn piece of metal, and hit him so hard in the head, I was looking around like, did we really need to do that? I don't think so. Jericho was also doing double axe handles, because don't forget 1980s moves forever, when he put on Takeshita's mask to do a dive, and he sort of missed. I don't blame him. How does anybody see through those things? All it did was totally piss off Takeshita though, who dropped Jericho with this damn sit-out bomb. When he hit one Blue Thunder bomb, he went to the top rope, and he hit an avalanche Blue Thunder bomb, also known as the least devastating move in all of sports entertainment. And did the first one work? No. And did the second one work? No. You could hit a Blue Thunder bomb from the moon, and it still wouldn't work. That's why it is the least most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. Chris then reversed the big knee into the walls of Jericho, which is when Don Callis just chucked the chair in the ring to cast distraction, and given the referee had to go and get rid of it, when Jericho went to talk to Donnie, what did he do? He got the screwdriver, and he attempted murder. They stabbed him right in the face. Amazingly, Takeshita then decided, well, I'm going to put the walls of Jericho on you, but when he realized that wasn't working, he instantly turned it into the Lion Tamer, and I thought this was a great bit of business, because Jericho tapped out within milliseconds, so Takeshita had done it. The power plant had won it. So even though the Callis family weren't going nuts throughout all of this, we did pitch it as a big deal. Look, I agree with you, this feud does need to come to an end very soon, but in terms of a match on this night, where everybody involved knew what they were doing, it is getting an up. It was absolutely fabulous. As was the main event. I mean, this AEW Dynamite was just rocking. For it was Big Bill and Ricky Starks defending their AEW Tag Team Titles against Sting and Darby Allin. And do you know what we did here? Some good old-fashioned old-school booking. Now, Sting hugged his family on the way to the ring, so it was like, oh no, this is going to go terrible. And it certainly did for Darby Allin, because the bell went ding, 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 and Big Bill grabbed Darby, and he threw him into Barry Barricade, who was having a terrible evening, and that's my family. But he also did this in front of Sting's kids. I was like, Large William, you're terrible. It also looked at this point like the Stinger just ran away, so my heart was broken, but I was totally wrong, because instead, when the other three were kind of fighting below this balcony, Sting appeared so high in the air, and he dived on all of them. Now look, I know it's boring to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. He is 64 years old. I'm nowhere near 64 years old, and I wake up every day like, oh, I'm in so much pain. Sting is my hero. He also tried to Stinger splash Big Bill into Barry Barricade, and once again I was like, what are you doing? But Bill totally no-sold this, and he just came charging back at him. What a great turnaround in his career this guy's had. He also threw Allin's head into the floor over and over again, which was kind of horrific to be completely honest with you. But nothing will ever be better than Darby Allin going for his dive and Big Bill grabbing him in mid-air on the outside and giving him a boss man slam. And this was so amazing, we have to retire that move, because you can try for the next 100 years, ain't nobody topping that. It ruled. At some point during all of this as well, when Ricky Starks was doing his offense, he hurt his ankle, which sucked to be him, because Sting then locked in the Scorpion Deathlock, so he was screwed too. But then in the background, you just saw Big Bill stomping away with Darby Allin on his back. And I watched it and just thought, you know what? This is utterly fantastic. Somehow they both then fell through a table, so they were totally murked, which is when Sting went to do the Stinger Splash on Starks. He got out the way, and by this point, Tina the Turnbuckle was exposed. The damn Stinger went into that. It meant Rick was able to get this excellent spear for an amazing 1-2-ooh, but on this night, we were going for warm and fuzzy feelings in the tum-tum. Because Sting did indeed power back to his feet and he avoided another spear when he hit the Scorpion Death Drop and he got the 1-2-3. And I gazed off into the distance and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this is probably the last championship Sting is ever going to win. Something in my eye. Sting's family also came in to celebrate with him, so once again I was like, oh no, here it comes, the sword of Damocles. And I was kind of right, but instead it was baseball bats, because Matthew and Nicholas Jackson were here in their white suits. My word, they killed everyone. Darby also got properly whacked at one point, meaning there was blood everywhere, which tied into the fact why they were wearing this colour, because seeing all that red on their clothes was an absolutely badass shot. And fair play to Allin too. You could see him rubbing it everywhere. He wanted it to look as good as possible. We also learned that the BTE trigger is now called the EVP trigger. I love stuff like that. When the Young Bucks picked up the AEW Tag Team titles as Dynamite went off air, as they were covered in the champion's blood. Honestly, this went on for an uncomfortably long time. It was really good. It also puts that question to bed, oh, you want them to be more serious? Well, now they are, and the commentators did a fine job in putting this over. And now come AEW Revolution, I don't know whether they're going to win or not, so we planted that seed too. What a terrific way to end an excellent AEW Dynamite. Getting it up. And of course it does mean that AEW is also getting it up, and as I've told you before, sometimes even I look at the counters and go, man, Simon, you're way too positive, but not today. This one smashed it out the park. It's getting it up. Now, of course, tell me how wrong I am in the comments. Click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs on Monday Night Raw, because there's loads to talk about WWE this week. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. But otherwise, enjoy the press conference that is going down later. The flub is going to happen there. See you soon.